Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me. Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me. So what I want to do tonight is give you guys an update from some of you guys. So I've been getting a lot of messages coming through. Lots of people are really feeling something right now, and so I want to share that with you guys, what people are feeling out there, what people are experiencing out there. But also I want us to focus on Hawaii, and I want us to send our intentions out there that Hawaii be spared. So let us do that as well as people come aboard and start joining us, because what we have going on is looking like it's going to be basically a direct strike on Maui, according to what we're looking at with the models. If we look at the GFS model right now, it's not looking good for either the Big Island or going up into Maui, and really it's going to hit the entire Hawaiian Islands. So let's see, let's switch over here, let's go to the GFS, and so this is the present location, and we can see pretty intense storm, Hurricane Lane. And again, if we go out one day and then two, and it truly is bizarre the way that thing is going to jog inwards and do a direct strike right at Maui, and it's not a good situation. So let's focus our attention on that not happening, and let's focus our attention on shifting it so that it goes off and doesn't hit the islands. As we know, there's a lot of power in intention and focus. And I totally believe in prayer as well. So I do think that there are forces out there that won't interfere unless we ask them for help. So let's ask for help for everybody in Hawaii, and let's also send our intention and just see it, just visualize it. Instead of hitting the island, let's see it just going off and just missing it entirely, going off into the Pacific, and then being caught up and heading up into colder waters where it just becomes nothing. Just nothing but a rainstorm. Exactly. Let's push it up and push it out, Chris. There's a lot of wind shear that's going to be coming in. So we could also view it as seeing the wind shear come in and just shred it up. And let's push it up and push it out and get it away from the islands. So as we see with Ventuski on Friday, it's to make a direct impact. And that's Thursday, and that's where we're at now. So really, if it doesn't take that jog and go in there, we could get it to go just off into here, where it basically could just go on up into the cold waters and just become nothing but a rain event. Now, as we're looking right now, we could see the other two typhoons starting to impact South Korea and also impact Japan. And so let's send our prayers over to them as well. And let's just hope that we could decrease the intensity, because these are hitting. And we see what they're supposed to look like tomorrow. By tomorrow they're basically over the areas and through. Now that was the GFS that we were looking at on Hurricane Lane in Hawaii. And if we look at the European model, we don't see quite that jog inwards. So let's just visualize it and send our prayers that's going to just go this way and just be caught up and out, go up into the colder waters and become nothing but an insignificant rain event. I love the Gayatri mantra, Chris. I totally love it. It feels so beautiful and peaceful, and always makes me feel at peace and happy. Yes, it does stack. It is looking like that right now. Timothy, do you have little faith? You say you cannot turn one hair white or black by taking thought, but ask. I don't know. I know some people that are pretty strong with the force, so to speak. And I've seen people's faces just change right before my eyes. We have a lot more power than you think. Hello, Branky Ma. Yes, Deborah, westward winds. We can all send energy there like butterfly wings. Beautiful thought. Thank you guys so much for joining me impromptu like this. I just felt like I wanted to reach out to you guys about this and also about everything I'm getting today, because wow, you know, you guys have been sharing so much with me, and I want to keep things anonymous, but then there's so much going on that I just want to share with you guys as well, because it's really it's very interesting how so many people are experiencing the exact same things and are feeling the same things at the same time, that are even dreaming the same dreams. Hello, my skies 5D. How are things in Portland? Very true. And you know, you guys might know that I completely believe in the thought of ascension. And I do think that everything is basically just, it's vibration, frequency, wavelength. And so, you know, I do think we are going upwards in vibration. I think, you know, we could look at it as if we've already jumped upwards into another dimension in so many ways. Yeah, since the eclipse stack, it's just been unreal. So, you know, I will agree with people that I do feel like in one way we are in the tribulation period. You know, we are a year in. Aloha, Grace. Hello, Zero Rich. Thank you all for being part of this family. So, the last 4 nights now, I've had incredible dreams that were so vivid. Just so clear, so vivid, and so much they feel like they're messages and kind of like, I don't want to say warnings, but just heads up dreams. They basically are all about the fact that we are at a very critical juncture right now, and things are going to be changing rapidly. There's huge changes coming globally, and we're all in it. But also, especially for the United States. The United States is going to go through a lot now. It's really coming. And so I have heard from so many of my family members here, and I mean Evolutionary Energy Arts family members, that are in Florida, that now is time to leave. It's the time to go. It's the time to get away from not only the coast, but also, the red tide, I think, is really convincing people now is the time, but it's also the dreams. And you guys have been sharing them with me. Hello, Mickey Kid. Much love out there. Hello, Sassy Susie. Hello from Miami, King David Drumming. Irish Whiskey, hope you're having a good night. Keto in Hawaii, aloha. Yes, we're going to send our intention on Hawaii again. Make sure that we focus on it. So let's first, focus on Hawaii. And let's see this moving westward. Let's see the winds push it westward. Let's see the hurricane start to get torn up by the wind shear that's going to decimate it and make it weaker. And it's going to get pushed westward, and it's not going to impact the islands. And if you guys believe in angels or any way that you believe in God, ask for the power from the higher powers to help us. And let's visualize this. Let's stop any sort of impact on Hawaii. And let's visualize Hurricane Lane moving westward, away from the islands, and becoming a non-event. Exactly. One giant angel flapping wings to send Lane in another direction. Sleep, Ver Magnuson, sleep has been very, very hard to get for many now. It's definitely been, a transitory time, and we're feeling it. So I want to share some other things with you guys as well. Conversations with one of our dear sisters that lives over on the East Coast. And I was telling her about my dream this morning. And when I told her about my dream, and I hadn't talked to her about anything before along these lines, she shared her dreams with me. And it seems like we've dreamed the same thing. And basically, last night I dreamed and I saw that there were troops coming to the U.S. and I've had these dreams before, and I've shared with those of you that have been with me for a long time. I did a video before on my dreams that have been with me since I was a teenager, and several times I've seen the United States invaded in my dreams, and I've seen that it's China, Russia, and other countries together with them that do invade the U.S. And in my dreams, this is when I lived in Connecticut, I dreamed of them invading, and I saw them coming in through Florida, as well as coming in from the Pacific Northwest. They were in Alaska, they came down from Canada, they came up from Mexico, and they came in from Florida. And in my dreams, I was in Florida, and I was actually holding on to this elderly gentleman that had both feet. Well, they weren't there, and I was helping him advance and move, and we heard that there were troops coming, and they were only 20 miles away. And that's what was in my dream. And last night in my dream, I dreamed that I was basically going to sleep thinking that when I wake up, it's going to be amazing to think that there's going to be foreign troops in the United States. And so that was what I was dreaming last night, and I could see them. I could see the troops in like boats and ships, in airplanes, and they were foreign troops that were just, on their way here. And then so I told that to one of our Evolutionary Energy Arts family members who lives over around Melbourne. And so she shared with me her dreams, and I'll read you the text from her. And of course, I'm going to keep everything just anonymous. And so I shared with her that, and I just asked her, I said, when do you feel like you have to get out of Florida? And she said it came to her in a dream that she was to get out in by April 2019. And actually lately she's been feeling, and we never discussed any of this, lately she's been feeling that, maybe earlier, and she had wanted to stay longer because she loves Florida. Same thing as me, I love the beach, I love the weather. And hi Marlo. Hello, Love Matters. And so, it's like so many of us don't want to leave. Yet, now it feels like it is pretty much time to leave. So, I asked her when she was going to leave, and she said, she knows Florida is already not safe. Some of us just haven't experienced what others already have. I've thought of relocating. It's crossed my mind a lot. Kind of upsetting, though, when at times it seems like I'm alone on that thought. I don't think as many are taking things as serious as it is. For a while I was thinking of Georgia. I love the mountains, by the way. Used to want to be in Northern California, but not too sure about that now. It's a hard decision. I'm making a choice of a safe spot. She keeps asking herself where and when. And, I had told her my timing, and then she told me about her April 2019 timing. And then she said she's had some dreams where she's seen things. And she saw a tsunami in one dream, and that's one of her fears. And you know what? A very, very close person to me has seen these tsunamis, and she's here, right, with me basically in this area, and she's seen the tsunami coming, and so she recognizes it as well. And of course, she doesn't want to leave either because she loves it here. But the time is coming, and not just the tsunami. So the family member that was telling me about her dreams said in the other dream the country was apparently invaded. And these dreams came to me when I wasn't exposed to any media of any sort, so there was no influences. We were invaded through the seaports, big ships, and our government was claiming that the Chinese and the Russians had invaded. But while in my dream, I intuitively knew that our government was working with the Russians and the Chinese in an attack on us. And I had this dream many years ago. And so, we talked more about relocating and timing, and she, feels the same, basically like, everybody's getting these feelings that it's time, and I'm going to share other people with you because I can't tell you how many people have told me in the last 2 days that it's time, and not just here at Florida. We're just at a different place. We're just at a different time now. Things are changing. Things are speeding up rapidly. Now is really it's more than go time. I mean, it's time to go to another level. We really got to get our butts in gear now, and do whatever we're going to do. Go wherever we're going to go. Get organized. It's full steam ahead at this moment. And so I just wanted to share with you guys some things that other people. Let me just actually bring them up on my phone. Probably be easiest. I did copy some of the messages, but I'll bring them up on the phone just so I can read them to you. Because I can't tell you how many people are feeling these things. How many people are having these dreams and visions? And for those of you that are familiar with the Bible, in the end times, dreams and visions, so it always perplexes me when people just negate it and say, well, as if the only time there could be dreams and visions was in biblical times. No, now. And part of it is because we're increasing in vibration. We are mutating, as we've talked about. Our consciousness is changing. We're getting inundated with cosmic rays and so much UV that it's just changing things to such a different degree, and we are getting so much more psychic now than we have been in the past. And so it's so much easier to channel these things, to listen and hear clearly. If we just calm our minds down, we'll hear the other side talking to us. Your guides, your angels, source, God, whatever you want to call these things, you'll hear them. And you'll get your messages if you just basically still your mind enough. So this one right here, this message is from an EEA family member that's up in Canada. And so they share with me, and they apologize for their English if it's not well written, because they speak French. And English is the second language. And it says, "Hello, my friend. It's just to advertise your reports of different international sites are not correct." Okay, so basically what they're saying is, I just want to let you know that the USGS is not telling you everything. I live in the Quebec City region along the St. Laurent Valley. I know that you know Edgar Cayce's prophecies very well. If you go visit Canadian Report of Earthquakes, you'll see real lacks in the reality of the official reports. Just this month, there's a good dozen of little earthquakes along the valley. It's very active this year. Nobody reports these events. I don't know why. If we look at the context of the North American plate, I think these little events are very important. Cayce had talked about changes of the St. Lawrence River, and so he did actually say it was going to change direction and reverse the flow. Think about that. He did talk about parts of continents rising and others sinking. And this just goes into everything that I'm hearing from everybody out there. When we look well, we see that these changes are really begun. The big changes really have happened now. 3 doors of my house are out of adjustment. When I meditate on the floor, I sometimes feel I'm on a bubble that is throbbing beneath me. I'm very sensitive, as if the earth is breathing down below me. Voila! I just wanted to draw your attention to these events that nobody talks about. So this is a French Evolutionary Energy Arts family member, and up in Quebec. And so they're having movement up there. The house is actually the position's moving to the point where the doors don't shut anymore. And, that's not a seismically active area. And he's not the first person that's told me that. There are people up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan that were telling me that their house is almost like off the frame now. Things have moved, things have shifted. And this is up in areas that are not normally thought to be seismically active. There's a lot going on up there. If you watch, like I talked about last night briefly, if you watch Mr. MBB, he's got people sending in pictures of pumice, volcanic rock that's fresh. There's volcanism going on in Lake Michigan. And another lady that is a very good friend of mine that I've known for quite a while now, she was living up in Wisconsin, recently has gone to her new home, a bug-out position in North Carolina mountains, because of all the changes. And she was saying when she was meditating out there in Wisconsin, she could feel the earth move. And it was moving a lot. And it was actually kind of making her nauseous, because it felt like she was sitting on solid ground, sitting on waves. So there's a lot going on that is not being reported at all. Dabu, okay, thanks Marlo. Dabu 7 was looking into the temperatures of the water in Michigan. That's a really good indicator for sure. And also, in the Gulf of Mexico, we know there's a lot of volcanoes going on in there as well. So a lot of people are feeling the motion, feeling the movement. And also, I can't tell you how many people feel like now is the time to leave Florida, just to let it out there. I've felt pressure from some friends and evolutionary family members that I was giving a bad example by staying in Florida so long when they felt I should have been out here already. And I'm sorry if that's what came across. I think part of it was there's certain people here I had to meet, and certain family ties that had to be tied, and and if I left early, I wouldn't have met these people, and I wouldn't have created the bonds. And so I totally trust in Spirit completely. I know I'll be guided to get out when the time is right. I do feel that we are, pretty much in that time frame. I do feel there's something coming to Florida in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and I felt that back since March, actually. And so it's a matter of, if I'm still here, you just have to live through it and survive it, because I don't think it's the end of the world. I just think it's another bump in the road. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Hello, caller. Who do we have with us?
My name is Tracy. I'm calling from New Zealand. I've sent you some messages.
Hi, Tracy.
Are you live? Are you still live?
Yeah, I am live. So we have a caller from New Zealand, and her name is Tracy, and she's going to share some things with us. So what would you like to talk about?
I'm American. I'm the one that's been sending some messages. I'm Pocahontas on Gmail, but my real name is Tracy. I'm an American from Chicago who moved to New Zealand, Canterbury, New Zealand, about 16 years ago. And I went through the Canterbury earthquake. They were very, very intense during this period of time, and I'll just let you know that there was a time when I even had a mailbox drop. I've been associated with many, many churches in Canterbury, and a couple of them had similar dreams. Oh, that such and such a earthquake is going to rock us even worse, and there's going to be a tsunami. And so in fear, I gathered up things that are precious to me, and I moved them to higher ground at a friend's house of mine, and then I went and took the kids, my 2 children, down to Dunedin, and during that time that it was supposed to occur, and it never occurred. Okay? I just want to encourage everybody to really make that connection with God themselves. Try not to get carried up in the hype. Yes, God does speak to us through dreams and visions, absolutely, 100%, but we need to make sure that we don't get carried away. I'm also watching Mr. NBB 333, and it is good to know that there's other people in the States that are switched on. Are you getting this?
Yes, yeah, definitely. So I agree with what you're saying.
Okay.
We can't give in to the fear. I mean, we just need to to listen, and we need to ask also for guidance. And a lot of times we just simply might not ask, and that's all it takes is just asking and just allowing your mind to still, and then a lot of times we get the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, God will speak to each one of our hearts directly. I've grown so much in the Lord through my move, because I was actually living in Germany. I didn't move here to New Zealand from Chicago. I actually lived in Germany for 2.5 years, and I was out of touch. Well, not really out of touch with the Lord, but I had no fellowship. So I was trying to get involved in finding a good fellowship here in New Zealand. But of course, unfortunately, Satan has his ways through people, and this is what I mean. You got to be very careful and focus on that direct communication with God. There are several books out there. I think not the Freedom Virus. Mike Holloway is the guy here. You guys have a guy in the States named I think it's Mark Berkler, and his daughter Chastity, maybe. She came to our church, and so did Mark. No, Mark never came to our church, but his daughter did, and they have really, really good material out there on how to hear from God, and knowing that what you're hearing is from God. Very important to not neglect that relationship, that direct relationship that you do have. We can all hear from God, but it's also very important, as Mark Berkler has taught in his courses, that I've taken, that we need to make sure that it is from Him and that we don't give in to fear. I get distracted a bit because I'm still watching the feed on my computer. But as I was saying earlier, when I first came here, I was desperate for fellowship, and I got involved with. I ended up getting into a cult, and I think the draw card was that the pastor and his wife were from the States. They were American, so I was looking for that comfort of family, sort of familiarity. So if there's any prophets that are prophesying as well, be very careful of that. It needs to agree. You just don't take the Bible literally, or trying to make sure there's no legalism, no thread of that, no threads at all of legalism or taking the Bible literally. It is all about our direct relationship with God the Father. He speaks to us. He wants nothing more than a relationship with us. We are really, truly the love of His life, and He wants that relationship. So that, please, do not put your trust in man. You know what I'm saying? I've been there, done that, and also that cult that I was in believed in William Branham, and he had prophecies. Okay, I give him this, that he did see some things that are coming to fruition. However, he is also man. He's human. All of these people that are prophets, that are used by God, they're also human, and everybody needs to keep that in perspective.
For sure. I mean, everybody that's ever written a word is human. So I mean, it goes even back into biblical times. They're all human, and being a human, it's just part of human nature that we could be fallible. So it's just part of it all. But thank you so much for sharing, Tracy. There's 2 other calls, so I'm going to grab them too. But thank you so much, and be safe out there, and God bless.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. So that was Tracy, and thank her so much for the call. And I lost that one call there. So here we go. Here they come back again. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
I'm bringing nigger back.
And I need my what would you call it there? My person to come and to screen these calls. Yes, we need to have our calls screened so that we don't get people saying bad words. And you see, that's part of that negative energy, and it's just so childish. I mean, it's so infantile and so childish. It truly is. And it's negative that people be like that. Hello, caller. Who do we have with us? Okay, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, you cut in and out.
This is Coconut D from the Big Island.
Oh, how's it going up there? Are you guys getting
Can you hear me
waves?
better now?
Yeah, we can hear you better now. How's the weather out there?
Well, I drove all around the island because I'm a surfer, and so we've been monitoring this thing everywhere. They did shut down the lava road, so we couldn't go down there and surf Ka'u. So we went to Hilo, because the hurricane was coming in that way. Nothing. Then we drove to top of Mauna Kea to see if we could see anything, and we couldn't. So we're now waiting for the hurricane to come around the bend in Kona. So we're just all trying to get in some water and everything together.
Awesome. So far, so good.
Yeah, so far so good, and it's just now getting gloomy.
Okay. Well, we are definitely focusing our intentions, and we're going to see the storm and pray that the storm goes westward and misses all the islands and then just dissipates.
Right, but just remember, just like my friend at Logic, all the names of the hurricane also have a numerology,
Mm-hmm.
So the Hawaiian tsunami comes out to 888, and Lane comes out to 66, and Hector came out to Diablo, the same numbers as Diablo. 15, it was 1566, which 15 turns into the 6. So 666 isn't bad. Well, people got to understand that 666 is the residency of the earth. So whatever we've been told, it's the opposite, you know?
Well, that's been the case in many times as they try to hide.
I have a beautiful saying for you, and everybody can rely on this for the rest of their life. Whatever is popular won't be right, and what is right will never be popular.
That's a good saying.
It's a great saying because, you know, you go into McDonald's, you walk under golden arches, you don't even know that it's a 33, right? You know, they use all these W's and they turn them sideways. You got these companies called Sam, Son of Sam. You got Costco at CC. We've got fighters in the UFC that are called Chris Cyborg, CC. It's just, I think it's all amok, and I think that they're driving these hurricanes towards us. And if anybody out there wants to really know the truth about the Big Island, there's a lady that got interviewed next to the lava. And she was on the letter E, XO News by Michael Sala. And she lived next to the volcano, or the Puna geothermal plant, for 24 years. And she bribed the people there and set them and gave them whatever they wanted, and she would just ask for a little bit of knowledge each year. And every driller, fracking guy that came back, because that's what they do over there, is frack the earth, came back and said one thing: what they're telling you that they're doing, they are not. They have a hydrogen collider, the one out in Sweden. They've got it there in Puna. So you have a geothermal plant that's fracking along with a hydrogen collider. And that was a doctor named Michael Sala. He interviewed the lady. It was on like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Dr. Michael Sala. So, yeah, you know, it's crazy. It really is. It is crazy. And
well, listen, she went on the air the other night to say that Fukushima was caused by Puna, the secret plant that's in the geothermal area, you know, because she lived there for 24 years. So when the accident happened over in Japan, the earthquake, a helicopter came over and took this giant silver box out of the Puna geothermal plant, and she said, "What is that? We just had an earthquake here on this in Japan, and what are you taking out of there? That looks like it's something that has to do with that collider thing." So what they did is they flew out the evidence right after the earthquake. So anybody can watch that interview. It's just under EXO News. It's the greatest interview in the history of life that we think.
well, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And I have been.
And if you guys ever need anything from the Big Island, you call me. I left you a message the other day. I actually am originally from Ohio. I'm trying to be a professional stand-up paddleboarder on the tour out here. So all I do is study hurricanes and earthquakes and geology.
Awesome. Did you email me, or was it a voicemail?
Yeah, that was me, and then sometimes it comes across as my mom's Hawaiian name, Tandalea. So sometimes somehow I got her. What happened is a lot of these YouTube stations, when I'm trying to give them information, I get blocked sometimes. So I use my mom's email to get through to people. It's trippy. Because, you know, I also know the real language is in the caves out here. So I've been putting the 22 amino acids, the 22 actual letters. See, they always told us that the Father upstairs confounded our language. No, he didn't. Our language is always supposed to be the same, so we always communicated. Can you imagine a Chinese person bleeding, and a European person over here, I don't know your language, so I can't help you. That's the way it was supposed to be. Our language was supposed to be confounded. No. The language was always supposed to be very simple. It's supposed to be 22 pictures. You have 22 amino acids. You have 22 building blocks in life. And, you know, and I'm trying to open up a website called Coconut Bee Conspiracies. and then give everybody the 22 letters. Give everybody the real map. See, you don't even have the real map of the earth. See, when you take the Da Vinci painting and you put a man down on the map, where Hawaii is the heart. It's just left of center. It's the heart chakra of the world. So when they named Hawaii 808, that means B-O-B, belly of the beast. Because the heart chakra is the most beautiful place of the world. That's Hawaii. So they put the spin on it. The cabal put the 808 on there. You understand?
Yeah.
So when you have a real map, it's laid out on the thing. You lay a person down on it, and if you put a hole through their heart, the back of the map is going to be Hawaii. See, I'll email you the real map. I'm the only person that's holding on to a couple of these secrets in life, and I don't know how to go about it because I do have I feel like there is a lot of tension following me. I don't want to really say, like gang stalking. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's very light. And I think it's programmed to people's phones. So I think that people don't really understand this, but they fly to different cell phone towers, and anybody that's given them trouble in the YouTube nation, the helicopter automatically goes towards that phone. And as they go to a different cell tower, the helicopter's being on certain people. And they just let you know that, they know that you know. You know what I mean? It's very weird because in life, these people don't want to have karma. So they try to tell you everything in plain sight. And that way they don't get this law that they live by, reverse karma. So they feel if they tell you that Angelina Jolie is a man, then they feel that they don't have anything guilty to be about. Because Nicole Kidman, is a man too. See, all these people are telling you they're a man. Michelle Obama, they told you her name was Mike.
Michael.
So what is up and what is down is the Baphomet system. And so they just want to turn everybody into who? Gecko the frog. You know what I'm saying? And the frog is a transgender. So to them, they don't really need sexes. You know what I mean? That's what but what I try to teach in the coconut bee conspiracies is that if you're going to be a woman for this life. You might get to be a man the next life. Be a man that life. And so what they've done this last 70 years is they've tried to just change this whole thing,
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Thank you for sharing all that, and I of course, I'm wishing the best for you and everybody out there on the Big Island and the rest of the islands as well.
Right.
So.
And remember, 9 is the highest number, you guys, if you're out there. And the father's name is Ha, H-A. The mother's name is Wa. We never had a fun father spirit thing. It was always a mother and father. And the first 2 words you ever said out of your mom's womb was W-A. Wa, 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 wa. So everything in here in Hawaii, if it's really beautiful, it's named Waipio Valley. It starts with the wa sound. When you talk about water, you're talking about agua. When you're talking about water in English, you're talking about water. Utah is not even spelled right. It's Wata. California was Kali. Everything that we have been taught is off, and I plan to change the whole world. The real name of Hawaii is letter 5, 6, and 7, and we were supposed to learn that English is backwards. Every word you say in English is backwards. So if you say love, it's evil. If you say God, it's dog. If you say mourning, you're mourning someone's death. If you say hello, that's hell. So we all have to learn that English is backwards, and we have to learn that the father's name is the breath of life, Ha, letter 5. The mom's name is Wa, letter 6. And letter 7 is Z, like Zion. The letter 7 and the letter Z are the same thing. So that's what we have to learn. Now, once you've learned that, you've learned that the English language is backwards, so you turn around the name. Not Ha, Wa, Za. The real name of Hawaii, the heart chakra of the world, and this is my last statement, Hello, everybody. You're going to get to hear it now. Za-wa-ha. And that is the true name of Hawaii, and I'm going to deliver that to the world.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, my friend. That was really interesting. And hello, you are on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Hey, you've got Mike from Canada. How you doing, bro?
Good. How you doing, Mike? How's things up that way?
Not too bad. Actually, starting to cool off a little bit. It's our first nice night in quite a while.
Nice.
I'm just outside checking out Mars and Jupiter and Venus and all the planets and the moon on a nice clear night. It's pretty awesome.
Awesome. What part of Canada are you in?
I'm in southern Ontario. I'm in Chatham.
Ah, beautiful. Nice area.
Right by Windsor. Yeah, nice area.
Definitely. What would you like to
It's
share?
Toronto. What's that? Actually, I wanted to say thank you very much for one thing. Your content's absolutely amazing, bro. You're the first guy that I've heard that actually agrees with me on a couple of things about the Bible and stuff, which I find is really cool. I've always thought I read a lot of Zachariah Sitchin and all the Chariots of the Gods and all that kind of stuff, of course, when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently, because I guess you'd say my spirit was awakened about 1.5 years ago or so. But I thought when that happened that, of course, I had to start going to church and stuff. So I started going to church and got into all that and started studying the Bible. And then I remembered everything about Zachariah Sitchin. So I actually read the Enuma Elish, or Enuma Elish, or whatever it's called, and Atrahasis, the story of Atrahasis, a bunch of the old Sumerian texts. And I have no idea where these people got the alien idea from, man. You know what I mean, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just considered through other research, of course, I've read so many books, man, this last 2 years, you wouldn't believe. I'm my mom's sole caregiver, so I've got a lot of free time on my hands. I'm home a lot. And, yeah, I've done a lot of research into a lot of the old texts and a lot of, I've read, of course, the Bhagavad Gita and a lot of can't remember some of the names, man. Some of the different languages are a little strange, but they've been translated into English, so it's kind of nice to be able to read a lot of these books.
Have you gone through the like Nag Hammadi and all that, the Dead Sea Scrolls and Gnostic texts?
Nag Hammadi, I've got that one. That's, wow. Gospel of Thomas is amazing, man. Some of the sayings that Jesus said are incredible.
Yeah, you know, I was actually, I was going to do one just on the Gospel of Thomas, and I was debating going back and forth if it's just going to be a piece of the bigger one on Gnosticism, but you know, there's so much to cover just in Gnosticism alone.
Oh my goodness, no kidding. I've been there's a channel now, a YouTube channel I just found. It's called Gnostic Teachings, and it's not. It doesn't get into anti-Christ things or anti-Christian things at all. Not so far, anyways. Lots about meditation and stuff, but very interesting. I find it very interesting. It's not, a lot of these church people would say, oh, Gnosticism, oh yeah, that's Satanism, that's against God and against Jesus, and it's not at all. Not even close. It kind of just explains things a little bit better, I find, than what the Bible does.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. When you start reading the other texts, you realize that the Bible is just it's Cliff Notes. It's nothing. Yeah. It's nothing but Cliff Notes.
Yeah, it's like the whole story's not there.
No.
Where's the rest of it? I want to read the rest of the books. I've found a whole bunch of books, of course, and I've read a lot of them. Like I've read the Septuagint. You know, the Septuagint's kind of weird because it actually makes more sense to me with the rest of the Bible. How there's all the number 7 all throughout the Bible and everything. Well, the Septuagint is the Old Testament with 49 books. 7 times 7. Mm-hmm. Doesn't that make more sense than 66 books?
Yes.
Or 39 books? Like, come on, that's not... They did all this stuff with numbers throughout the whole Bible, but we'll give you 39 books. What the heck is that? That's nothing. Like, that doesn't make sense. Every number in the Bible means something. And that number means nothing. So... yeah, kind of makes you wonder.
Yeah,
Where's
there's
the rest of the books?
there's also all sorts of clues, for people that will really, really look. And just
yeah.
compare Chronicles and compare Kings. Go and compare them side by side, because they talk of, for the most part, the same time period.
Yes.
And so then you could see, for one, you could see inconsistencies, because there are many that say there are no errors in the Bible, and that's completely erroneous. There's a ton of errors.
Wrong, but yeah.
And then we actually get into things where you have to question: is this truly God speaking? Because would God do things that are basically so evil? And so you really get to see that things are really they're twisted. They're not as they were supposed to be. There's been so much redactionism. Realize too that these scribes, these guys that are transcribing these books, they're doing it ultimately from an oral tradition, and one that never actually wrote the vowels in. And so again, people are influenced by politics, money, and power. And so
exactly.
What you have translated, in say 300 AD is not going to be the same from 400 BC. There's going to be differences.
Yeah.
And it just goes on and on and on. And so really the worst translation we have, pretty much, is the King James Bible.
And then, of course, carried on from there into the other Bibles, which are translated from the King James Bible.
Yes.
So it's like, well, guys, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Although, don't get me wrong, I totally believe in God. A lot of Christians, they think now, because I don't believe literally in the Bible, that I don't believe in God and Jesus anymore.
Exactly.
It's like, no, that's not true. I don't believe Jesus is God any more than you or I are, but of course I believe in him. He was a man, he was a great teacher. He was an amazing teacher, probably the best ever. Well, Buddha was great, as well as Krishna, and there was Zoroaster, and there was Sargon, and there were several Moses. I mean,
we could go to Dionysus and Mithras and so many others as well.
There's tons of teachers throughout history, but Jesus was a teacher, and these people, they just go on and on. Oh, well, if you don't believe he was God, then you're going to hell. Well, I'm sorry, that's not my God.
Exactly, and see, that's just fear-based teaching, and I've found that the people that usually state that they haven't even read the book. They haven't read it from cover to cover. They haven't studied it, and
reading it. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
reading it isn't good enough nowadays because of what you were saying about translations. You have to study it if you want the truth from the book.
Exactly.
If you want just an idea of kind of what Christians think and how they live their lives and stuff, great, just read the book. But if you want to know about life and about their life back then, and also there's a lot of spiritual stuff in the Bible. It's just it's allegory. It's funny because you know what? Paul tells us that, eh?
Sure.
Galatians 4:24. He says that the story of Abraham and Sarah, and of course Isaac and Ishmael, is allegory. It's not real. Paul tells us this. Point that out to a Christian and see what they say to you. Oh, well, that's not what he meant.
And see, like when you said point that out to a Christian, it's even a misnomer to say that, because you could truly be a Christian, but you're not.
Well, I am a Christian. I don't mean it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I should say.
No, and see, that's where we get caught up into their type of thinking, because if you live by what Christ taught, then you're a Christian. But if you truly live it, you're not going to be part of the Catholic Church. Because the Catholic Church is so rich. Then if you really want to follow me, sell everything, give it to the poor, and let's go. And they didn't do that. And so that shows you where their hearts are. All these preachers that have 5 Mercedes or BMWs sitting out in their front yard, they're not Christians.
And $1 million homes and yachts and airplanes.
Those are not Christians. They have nothing to do with Christ. I mean, nothing to do with Christ at all. And
I
so
totally agree, brother.
Totally. And Christ was, in my opinion, he was an Essene. And I think if most people look into it deeper, they see the Essenes. Now, there's going to be a lot of people in the United States that are going to have problems with accepting an Essene, because an Essene was basically somebody that lived communally, communist, quote unquote, which is the opposite of what we're brought up into, this capitalistic system of thinking in terms of greed and thinking always in terms of material things, but Christ didn't give a crap about anything material.
No, not at all. He didn't even have a place to lay his head.
Exactly.
According to the Bible. Now, I mean, I've studied a lot of the translations, and I find actually most of the story is written properly from what I've seen in the translation. That's in the Greek. The Greek is different. The Greek has vowels. But yeah, I find most of that has been translated well. I just find they've left a lot of books out. But the Old Testament, holy cow, brother, you wouldn't believe. When I started going into translations from the real Hebrew, each word in English has about 50 definitions in Hebrew. Like, trying to figure that out, trying to figure out the translations, I have no idea how these scholars translated the Old Testament that many years ago with this many words to translate. For me, I've translated verses and passages, and it's taken me a week just to do a couple of verses, trying to figure out, well, you got to think of the context, and you got to think of this word and that word, and well, this word was used more in the Bible, so maybe this one makes more sense, and it's so tough trying to go through all that, trying to study that book. I'd just rather meditate and listen to him.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I agree. And again, it's that going within, and finding Him within you, and connecting with that. As I'm just looking at some of the comments as well, and it really it's again, it's not about dogma, and that's the problem. See, we've been so conditioned to accept certain dogmas, and they've been done on purpose, and they've been done in order to keep us separate. And
oh yeah,
and that's what we have.
Trying to divide everyone, because if we're not together, then we can't fight them. Well, it's not like it's even a physical fight, obviously, but.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, I pointed out the other day, too, sorry to change the subject a little, not kinda, but not really. I sent you a thing about the word repent. Do you actually know what the word repent means, bro? Look it up in Strong's. It's absolutely hilarious. It means to search yourself within. That's what repent means. It doesn't mean to say sorry to God. It means to go within. It's so funny, when I saw that, I just thought, wow.
So yes, it
all
is.
These people are telling me to do something, and they think it means something else.
Right. Well, it is. It's definitely time to repent. It's time to go within and find and find source within each one of us. That is what we have to do.
Oh yeah, we're switching into a new age for sure. I agree with that. Now, as far as it being the end times, I think it's the end of this age. And the end of the deception that the Bible talks about constantly, which is pretty well everything as far as I'm concerned. I think we're lied to about absolutely everything. There's so many things that are just total bullcrap, excuse the language. But, I think the elite, the 1%, actually I guess it would be the 0.01% if you really get down to it, the people ruling things, I think they're making stuff happen, bro. They're trying to make it look like the end times in Revelations, so that people are they're all gonna get all this fear together, and then that fear, I'm sure you know the theory of how we create our own reality.
Oh, completely.
Well, if all these people get together with all this fear, they're gonna create what they fear the most.
Exactly. That's it exactly, and that's why I've been saying so much to my circle of friends. The deeper I go into this, the more I feel that everything is contrived, and everything has been created and man-made or in man plus some perhaps slightly higher intelligences, but it's definitely all contrived. And
oh, I agree.
Even now, I mean, I had a kind of interesting run-in with somebody that is in our circle. Let's just say our circle, as far as believing believing in a grand solar minimum, and all that. And this is somebody that's out there that everybody knows. But it just showed me that I there was a reason why I didn't fully trust this person, because again, there's an agenda. And so, as always, they'll give you a part of the truth, but they want to twist it. And so give you a knowledge like, oh, we're heading into this grand solar minimum now, and so this is the new global warming now. So, I mean, I'm not saying I buy any of it. I mean, I have been reporting on the grand solar minimum, but I'm thinking a lot of this is man-made as well. It's the same thing as all the rest of the stuff they've given us. They have technology that can do anything that we see, for instance, in the Bible that God does, as far as bring plagues, bring famine, bring pestilence, bring droughts. They could do all that. They've been able to do it for at least 50 years, and they've probably been able to do it way longer than that.
Oh, think about it. If you've got helicopters and airplanes and stuff in the hieroglyphics, they've had this technology, bro, for thousands of years. Not just 50 or 100 years. They've had it for, like, way the heck back. They just keep it to themselves. These people, I believe, the elites, these people, are the people that lived before the flood. They had helicopters and airplanes and all this kind of stuff, and they came out of the sky. So all the people that were here, of course, the people that didn't hide out in their underground bases during the flood, all the people that were on the earth are going, oh, they came from the sky. They're sky people. Well, they just had airplanes. They came from that mountain over there, bro. I mean, they didn't come from the sky. They're just the ones that used to live here before. And all they've done, now, the Bible, I think, has Genesis and the story of Noah mixed up. I think Noah should go first. And then the story of Genesis is when the Elohim, the ancients, the old ones, whatever you want to call them, the bright ones, the Elohim means so many things, man. But whatever, these people, they are not gods, came here, came out of their underground bases, which actually, if you do some research, there's underground cities all over the planet. Everywhere. Egypt, everywhere, man. But they came out and just restarted things, that's all. They helped people out, they gave them information, they helped them with cultivation, they helped them raise animals, they gave them knowledge, and of course, the fundamentalists will say, oh no, that was demons.
Right. And I don't want to interrupt you, but I just have to say that the reason why I started to laugh out loud was because I was just having that exact same conversation with some very good friends, and saying that the more I go into this, I even think that a lot of the alien things, I mean, I totally don't buy all the demon stuff. Do I think there are demons? Yeah, I've seen them. I mean, I actually have seen them, honestly, and I understand what they are. Do I think that there are angels? Yes, I do too. But I think that so much of what we have going on is just human, and it's really, I agree. I mean, if there were leftover people from these other civilizations, which may have gone on for even millions of years, we don't even know.
And some of them could have been reptilian.
They could have been.
Go ahead.
And so, I mean, if they retained their knowledge and their technology, they could look like gods to us. And so I was just saying how the more I look into this, the more I think that this is simply leftover people from these other civilizations that maintained their knowledge, and their technology, while the rest of mankind got sent into the Stone Age again. And so they appeared as gods, and they are the select, the elite, the ones that have been ruling us as gods, but they're nothing more than they are what we are. There's nothing, and they've also tried to make us feel that we're dumbed down and less than we are, because we have much more power than we realize.
Oh yeah, I know, of course they do. All the fluoride in the water here, why do you think everybody acts like they do? Why do you think everybody is so complacent? They see these chemtrails. They see all this crap going on with Hollywood and with the governments and stuff. Do you think they care? Yes, deep down, they care. But you know what's holding them back? The fluoride, the chemicals in their food, the chemicals coming down from the chemtrails. I know I sound paranoid and stuff. I'm not afraid. I trust God. But it's happening, man. People are dumbed down. If you cannot see that people are dumbed down, then I'm sorry, you're dumbed down yourself. I don't mean that to be rude to anyone at all, but if you don't see it, you have a problem and you need to fix it.
Yeah, I totally agree, and they're still trying to control it. So just to let you know, these people have infiltrated our movements. They've infiltrated the, conspiracy theorists, quote unquote. They've infiltrated the truthers as well.
Oh yeah, the flat Earth and stuff, man.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I hear now in the flat Earth, it's like, okay, now you're making all of us look stupid. You know, I see that now all the time. It's like, okay, this guy, some of what he says is true, and then he goes off on a tangent somewhere else and says, I won't mention any names either, but then they say stupid things, I'll just say. And it's like, wow, now you're making us all look stupid. All of us that believe we don't live on a globe. I don't know if we're flat or anything yet myself. I'm up in the air about all that. I don't know. But I know it's not what we're told. So people think I'm nuts for that. They think, oh, you're a flat earther. It's like, no, actually not totally. I just don't believe what we were told. If you believe that Tesla commercial and that car that's flying through space to Mars, then just go have your glass of fluoridated water and go back to sleep.
I agree totally. Yeah, so we're definitely on the same page with that, and the problem is, most people can't accept it. They don't want to accept it. They still want to believe that everything's either just angels and demons, or God and demon. But it's not the case. You gotta look deeper, man. You gotta really look deeper. Start to compare all the world religions, all the traditions. Look at the science. But you know what? Don't let them throw the science at you as if they know something you don't, because so much of the science that we've been taught has been nothing but lies. So people that have these, they have a PhD in this and a PhD in that, well, that just shows that you were brainwashed to an incredible high degree.
Sorry, that's amazing. That's so true, though. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It really does. Yep, some of these people, they come up with, there was one guy I was listening to that said, well, the Great Pyramid in Giza has all these measurements that if you measure the angles here and add them up to this and subtract this and multiply by that, whatever, I don't know all the details he did, it gives you the exact circumference of the Earth. So it proves that we're a sphere. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You just did so much math. What? I don't get some of this stuff that you have to do all this math that basically I would say 75% of the population don't understand to prove your point.
Right. Well, I want to thank you for your call. We have a couple other people waiting.
Okay, yeah, sorry, bro. Yeah, thanks so much, and thank you for your content, man. I'll be watching you from now until you're off the air, bro.
Well, thank you. Hopefully they won't take me off too soon.
No, they won't, man. We won't let them. So, yeah, I'll be talking to you in the near future. My handle on YouTube is Mike333, MIC333. I talk to you a lot on there. I leave you lots of comments, so I'm sure I'll talk to you soon, bro.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Yeah, God bless.
God bless. Hello, my friend. You are on the air. And who do we have with us now?
Hello, Michael. Hesasewa is the first thing I wanted to say. I'll explain what that means, but this is Netzaya from California.
Hi, Netzaya. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm doing phenomenal. It's amazing how these colors are showing evidence of synchronicity. It's just so amazing. It's weird. I was going through these thoughts ever since last night when I watched Oppenheimer's latest report, and it showed about the hurricane. And me myself, I was thinking, man, I gotta call Michael. I gotta find a way to get in contact with him and see if he's willing to do some kind of prayer meditation to deviate that hurricane, because we can't do this. But it's amazing how these people are talking about very similar, relevant things that I know some people has crossed their minds. They don't understand it, but they're like, wow, I kind of thought that, or I heard somebody say that just yesterday, or something like that, which proves how beautiful. Truly, I mean, this is. I don't see how people see so much negativity. Yes, facts are facts; they're out there. But why? Why even fuse into that reality? Anyhow, how's it going, Mike? How's everybody going? I hope everybody's doing okay. Thank you so much for doing this. But how's it going, Michael?
It's going great, my friend. Yeah, and you know what? It's like I see it when we start talking about things that other people are not ready to understand yet. that it gets very, very painful for them almost. Like with that last caller, and we're talking about lifting the veil.
Yes.
You know, for some people that are still, they don't realize that they're deep in a conditioning program, but they are, and they don't realize that there's more than just what is at the surface. It can be kind of painful to the reality. So I recognize that. But, you know, part of what I want to do with this channel, even if it means losing people, I don't want to lose people. I want them to learn and to understand and come to a greater understanding. But at the same time, you know, have to be true with my mission, which my mission is just all about it's getting people to think on a larger perspective and to recognize the fact that, you know, we need to come together. So how do we come together? We have to realize, for one, we're being played. You know, we're being pitted against each other on purpose. And it's the belief systems, both political and religious, is the major way that they do this. And so it could be painful to realize that, especially when you put your whole worldview, you know, behind this one belief, whether it's, you know, conservative Republican or liberal Democrat, or whether it's Christian, Muslim, you know, whether it's atheist, you know, whatever it is. It's painful to feel like, oh my God, I got to rethink everything. And that's what...
Exactly.
Yes. So, I mean, just go ahead with what you wanted to say. I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, and that's beautiful, because the gentleman prior to, I believe it was the one prior to this one, he was talking about the wordplay. And yes, there's so much truth to what he was saying. I mean, it's amazing. I learned so much from that gentleman right now. But he mentioned the number 9, the syllables, all these things. I mean, look at how I opened up. Hesa Sewa, okay, that's my native language as a Yaqui Indian. Okay, Hesa Sewa, it sounded just like the real, pretty close to the name that he said that the real word of Hawaii is basically backwards in a sense. So Hesa Sewa, what that means is it's a greeting, especially from the warrior men towards other men, and what it means is, how's the flowers? Now, how beautiful is that? How? Because when you say that to another warrior, you're showing how much of true unconditional love you have for one another, especially in a time of peace. Now, what are we living in right now? I mean, we all know that the Bible don't lie in one shape or form, whether you believe in it or not. But we're living literally the apocalypse. If you look up the definition of apocalypse, the great unveiling. Exactly. Why shouldn't you guys be joyful that we're facing the apocalypse, the end times? Yes, it's the end of time, meaning the word time, meaning the concept of time. In the fourth dimension, if you guys understand, it'd be hard to explain all of this, but in the fourth dimension, time does not exist in the sense that in the fourth dimension, we can't physically truly live in it, okay, but the portal to the fourth dimension is the Merkaba, is the heart. How do I know this? Because the fourth dimension is spirit and nature base. Okay, with that in mind, so, you know, they're saying we're going, okay, fourth dimension is technically purgatory in a sense. Why? Because in the fourth dimension, you're way more compassion when you live out of service to the heart, meaning unconditionally to every heart, because we are all one, universally. So when you live out of the fourth dimension, meaning you start to drop everything, you know, like just like Jesus Christ is saying. Why does that help? Because then you let go of ego. You can't destroy ego. Remember this. We can't survive without ego. Ego is what helps us survive. But we can condition ego consciously. And I have all kinds of information that everybody's like, wow, that doesn't make sense right now, but that I understand what he's saying. But we can condition the ego to become divinity. How? Because we can condition the ego to work out of service to the heart. Now imagine when that happens, that coherence from heart to brain, and what's connected to all that, the core. That's the Trinity right there. People, wake up. We gotta raise our vibration, our consciousness to with our temple. So again, with the word forgiveness. Okay, that's how we all start. Let's forgive. How? Wordplay. Break up the word forgive into two different words, root words. was the two words for and then give. So let's flip them. And then you get give for. So if you can't forgive your rapist, if you can't forgive the person that kills your brother, your neighbor, or whatever, well, give in the name of them, because they do not know how to love, especially in that moment or whatever the case may be. That doesn't mean you need to love that person that raped you or whatever. No, that just means the next time you give a gift, just say it in the name of those that cannot love. And obviously the rapist or the killer is going to be involved in it. And that's how you transcend darkness to light, and you help yourself and that rapist or whatever. Because this is how telepathy works. Again, telepathy, the way it is we don't hear thoughts. We don't hear voices. Just like, for instance, I'm not saying that I'm the cause of you making this one specifically for Hurricane Lane, right? But what I'm saying is, I was thinking about this, like, how am I going to contact Michael? How am I going to contact Michael? And next thing you know, you get a thought. I got to do this thing for Hurricane Lane. Now, I'm not saying you heard my voice. No, I'm not saying you heard my thoughts. No, but I guarantee you there was at least 6 to 7 more benevolent listeners of yours thinking the same thing, at least. You cannot tell me that's not the truth. So with that in mind, you received a thought that was a telepathic communication from all of us that are in one collective consciousness with the same thought and, intention that we all have.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautifully said. And it's true. And I was going back and forth on, do I do a second video? Do I do it live? Do I do a second video? Do I do it live? And then I just felt like, let's do it live. And then I just felt, okay, let's focus on Hawaii. And then I just got to tell you guys what people are telling me, because, today was just full of amazing conversations and just, realizing that, holy crap, our collective unconsciousness is really collective. So many of us are feeling the same things, seeing the same things, hearing the same things, dreaming the same things. The connectiveness is incredible, and we have to realize that. And I don't want to get caught into like harping on the Bible and stuff so much, because you know what? There are a lot of dark entities out there that want to get us into that, and they want to get us into this downward spiral where we start just focusing on dogma. And really, dogma is how they've tied us up in knots and kept us ineffective, kept us basically trapped in servitude, and that's where we've been, and just look at the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel tells you the whole story. Look, humanity is united. Who knows what they could do? Come, let us go down there and separate them. And that tells you the whole story from the elite's point of view.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, technically, you and I and us listeners, the ones that are listening, we're technically the dead that are going to come out of the ground. Think about it. An Armageddon. When you look at the actual definition, the place where the last battle between good and evil will be fought. And then they say that in Armageddon, that the dead is going to rise out of the ground and this and that. Well, guess what? We, in a sense, and I'm sure you're going to refer to, understand when you think about it in metaphoric terms. I mean, we've seen that Galileo and all these great minds were all condemned because of their great minds. So what most of them had to do, especially the ones that noticed, oh, look what they did to my partner Galileo, I got to go underground and do this underground, not in the open. So in the days to come of the apocalypse crown, the living will be the dead, and the dead will rise from the ground. Get it? That means we will start coming out and start waking people up. That's, again, the apocalypse, the great unveiling, which you are a great channel, technically, if you look at it technically, but also figuratively speaking in energetic terms. And just to finish off, we just like the word intimate. Intimate does not mean sexual intercourse. Intimate means you just need to go in to mate, to mate with spirit, with yourself, with others. Meaning you can be intimate with your dog just by kissing them in the forehead. Guess what? That's being intimate with the dog, because you're establishing a connection that's in a deeper level, at least for that moment. So with this in mind, Ho'oponopono, okay, the Hawaiian act of forgiveness, reconciliation. This is so we can start right now, hopefully, deviating Hurricane Lane, because it's about to hit the main islands right now. And just, you guys notice how it's going, what is it, northwest. Well, if we just visualize literally like what we're seeing right now on the screen, the wind patterns. Okay, let's start seeing the opposite, some winds coming from the northeast coming down. And then just watch the red dot that looks like an eye, just make it go towards the west. So it's barely going to skirm the islands. But I guarantee you, somehow, some way, in a miraculous way, it's going to help big time.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, my brother. I love you. I love where your heart is, and you are right on in my book. So thank you for sharing so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being open to all of this, to Michael's message here that obviously is a part of everyone's message. That we need people like us, like someone yesterday was saying. It's not that we're lonely, but we feel alone in this world when it comes to like where we're staying at right now, because everybody that is near us is afraid of us in a sense. So this channel is bringing us all together. Yes. So one thing I want to finish off is saying, don't forget, what's at least for now, friends forever, never apart. Maybe by distance, but never by heart. And this is how we'll help each other, all of us out with intention. One love, everyone.
One
Have
love.
a good night, Michael.
One love. Namaste, my brother.
Namaste.
Beautiful call, and so true. And I so want more of those people that are still kind of locked into a system. I so hope that they will open their hearts enough to recognize that they're locked into a system. And so open minds, open heart, can achieve so much. There's nothing that couldn't be achieved. Nothing. So we could steer this hurricane and see it going west. And, Mary is out there, Mary from the Himalayas, Mary Kingsley, and she's been basically in contact with me for a long time. And so we do need to focus more on the positive, and so we need to flex our muscles a little. We need to actually show that we can manifest positive outcomes. And you know what? We don't ever really die. I mean, we don't. And this is my thoughts, but this is also what I know deep inside. We just shift. We are energy. We are consciousness itself. And this is consciousness manifesting itself in a million different forms. The god Shiva, in Hindu culture, Shiva means basically that which is not. It's almost a conundrum. And so, many quote-unquote Christians will just automatically dismiss it as a demon. But no, what it's saying is a truth, that which is not. Because we are not really these bodies. We are something much, much more than these bodies. We're inhabiting these bodies. But we're not the body. We're far more powerful than a body. The brain does not create our consciousness. Our consciousness exists before the brain ever comes into being. Our consciousness is what creates the brain and creates the entire physical body. We are so much more powerful than we realize, and we have been conditioned not to recognize that. And so it's time to wake up and to recognize just how strong we really are, and just how much power we have in our hands just by utilizing our consciousness. Exactly, Stack. We are spirit in a vessel. And you know what? We're not always even in this vessel. We venture out beyond the vessel when we sleep. We could venture out beyond the vessel when we meditate. And as Mary says, we're not even here. We're creating a projection. This is a matrix of sorts. So for you guys out there that are flat earth believers, in a sense you're right, because it's all an illusion anyway, as Buddha found out. So, it doesn't really matter if we argue that the world's flat or not. Because ultimately this is an illusion, and the reality is that which animates the body. If you want to see what you truly look like, just look up in the sky and look at the sun, because that is really what you are. You are consciousness, you are energy. And you're a part of Source. You're each a unique part of Source, experiencing its own creation in a myriad of different ways. There's a reason why this is a fractal existence, a fractal reality. And love is the key that brings us back to oneness and to understanding and to each other. So you guys, I do have an open line if anybody wants to give a call in. 614-400-5835. Yes. Yeah, if you see what we look like at the core, we're like the sun. We're a star. We are energy. So, as above, so below. Yes, Ralph. David Icke does talk about this. David Icke has actually, over the years, he's gotten better and better in so many ways. And, as his focus went away from necessarily just talking about the evil reptilians, which are trying to control us, and more towards, that which we truly are, and the reality that we can actually, create and manifest a positive reality if we so choose, because we are co-creators. So David Icke, he definitely shares a lot of interesting things. So Claudia says David Icke thinks he is Jesus Christ incarnated. Well, the reality is that we are all to become basically Christ-like beings, and that's what Christ was trying to teach us. Christ means anointed, and anointed in many ways, but we are basically to become ascended. We are to rise above the reality of this limited 3D world that we find ourselves in right now. And so many of you are already feeling what higher dimensions feel like. You're tingling all the time. You're feeling vibrations all the time. You're buzzing. You're feeling all sorts of strange energetic flows. And you might be thinking you're going crazy, or you might be wondering what's going on. But we are just simply rising in dimensions. We are rising in our consciousness. And the key is getting out of fear, getting out of anxiety, getting out of the mindset that we are flawed creatures in any way, shape, or form. That's part of the problem with dogma and the concept of original sin. Now, there's many different ways of taking things. So we could take it from the ego point of view and recognize, we got to get past our egos. We got to get past that part that says, oh, this is mine, and I will defend mine to the death, and I will do whatever has to be done to maintain mine. We got to get past anything that has to do with fear. And we have to start operating out of love. And then once you do that, you start to see the unity of all things. And recognize that the separateness is just an illusion. Lawrence of Aragon talks about the fact that we need duality, basically, to keep things going. And you know what? That's true in the 3D. But as we move to the higher dimensions, it won't be actually the truth. Hello, you are on the air. Who do we have with us now?
This is Janine.
Hi. How are you doing, Janine?
I'm good. I thought I'd call. I've been typing away. I kind of wanted to bring up something. We were kind of talking about. Okay, I'm a little nervous.
No, don't be nervous.
We're spirit beings, but when Jesus Christ died on the cross, the veil ripped. When that veil ripped, that gave us a way to be one with Christ. You know how back in the Roman days, you know, the priest had to go in. He had to be pure. He had to go in. When Jesus died, the veil ripped, so we can actually walk in the Spirit and be in another dimension, in the spiritual realm. You know, I've kind of started writing a book about this because I want other people to experience it. I've been in another dimension, and when I say this, people think I'm nuts. But I'm still in my reality, but my spirit is one with Christ in this dimension. Does that make any sense? Am I making any sense?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I see the sense in that completely.
Okay. I'm just wondering how many other people have actually gotten to this point in the spirit. But you know, it's like I talk to other people; they have no clue what I'm talking about. I meditate a lot with the Lord, and it's not like just sitting down and praying, but it's the heart. It's the heart talking, not the mind. And you know, we get so much junk in our mind, and we have to shut all of that out. We have to shut off the TV. We have to shut off the music. You know, music's good, but some of the words are just so attacking to the spirit person inside. You know, the scripture just kept coming over to me. You know, we've got to clean our mind out. We've got to protect our mind, our thoughts. And the scripture, I'm so nervous, I can't think of it now, but, you know, it's about getting your mind right and thinking good thoughts and thinking on things higher than us, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And, you know, when you get your mind on higher things, that's when you can start moving into the spirit walk. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely about a shift in perspective, a shift in perception, and it's all about becoming heart-centered and love-centered. And when you shift that way, then you realize, you know, there's no judgment. There is no judgment. You can't judge. And it's even written, judge not lest ye be judged. You know, it's pretty simple. It's pretty direct. It's all about consciousness. And see, we've been given a very, very limited set of books. We have 4 Gospels. There was over 200 Gospels. And so many of them were kept from us on purpose to give us an incomplete view. And until we actually, you know, go out and really immerse ourselves, not only in letting the left brain go ahead and read through, sort, and analyze, but then meditating on, and then finding the truth from within. And you don't even need to honestly even do any of that. You could just simply go within. You know, many cultures, many different native and indigenous people have simply found truth by going within. So, you know,
that is so true. Yeah, I actually quit going to church probably about 3 years ago. I'm actually a retired minister. I moved and I couldn't find a church in my area that taught anything as far as, you know, the being close, you know, with the love. It's the love. The love was missing. Where's the love? You know, but I wanted to go back. Pam had just said something. Death is transition. Death to self. is transition. That is so true. You have to die to yourself. You die to everything that's around you. I used to be a person that was so, everything had to be perfect. You know, I'd go out and get my nails done, my hair done. I was, it was all about the self. I was self-absorbed. And I don't know, I really released my life over, and change started happening inside of me. And I started listening to the words that came out of my mouth. And it was like, it was like the Lord was pulling stuff out of me that shouldn't have been there. And it was a painful, very painful thing. And it was almost like I was slapping myself. I guess it was the Holy Spirit saying, hey, listen to what you're saying. Those are hurtful words. Then it got into my thoughts. Those are hurtful thoughts. Why are you thinking those thoughts? And so I had to learn through Jesus, because I can't do this on my own. I had to learn to control my thoughts. So I still, every day, every night, I pray and I ask the Lord, protect my mind, protect my mouth, protect my heart, protect my speech, what comes out of my mouth, and my eyes. I quit watching TV, turned off the radio. Other than, I like to listen to music, meditating music, and I do like my Christian music, but the meditation really helps. But I guess what I'd like to, if anything tonight, I'd like to share for those that are out there that are dealing with the thoughts that are causing you pain. You got to release it and give it up. And every time the thoughts come up to you, you got to release it and just say no. And then just start thinking on good things, thinking on love, and feel what's inside of your heart and release that feeling, heart to heart from my heart to the Lord. And you learn to talk to the Lord with your heart, not your mind.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll let somebody else call in. It was nice talking to you, Michael.
That was beautiful. I love the way you put that, because we have to be more heart-centered and not more mind-centered, more heart-centered. Because, the spirit resides in the heart, and the mind can be tricked, the mind can be fooled, the mind can be conditioned. But listen to the voice that comes within and comes through the heart. Don't allow yourself to be conditioned by fear. Don't allow yourself to be conditioned by dogma. Don't be conditioned to believe that just because you were born into a 3D world, there's in some way, shape, or form something wrong with you. Because there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect as you are. You just simply are a different expression of divinity exploring its creation.
Yes. I grew up in a very traumatic environment. There was a lot of torture, a lot of abuse, verbal and physical. Excuse me. And it took me many years to get past that. When I think I was 7 or 8, I wanted to kill myself. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I had a visit that comes in the middle of the night. A light woke me up. And to get to my room, you had to go down this hall and then turn the corner. And I just woke up and I seen this light, real bright light coming down the hall. And then it come around and stopped at my door. And all I could see, I could look at it, but it was so bright, but I could still look at it. And I couldn't see the face. It was just so bright. And I could see the outline of a person there, but there still was brightness. all around him, all around him. And I don't know why. I picked up a toy, and just, I guess I wanted to see if it would go through him. But I had this condition when I was little. I wet the bed, and I used to get beat, really, really beat. And I know that night Jesus came and he healed me, because I never did again. It wasn't until many years later that I found out that some children, their brains, that whatever in the brain sometimes it doesn't function. But my life changed a lot after that. You know, I lived in fear. I lived in fear for many years. But when, you know, people tell me that Christ is not real, it's like, oh, I know he's real because I've seen him.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
you know, just that one thing has helped me through my life. Just, you know, I go back to that night. That I could kick myself in the butt for not talking to him, because he just stayed there until I fell back to sleep. But he healed me, and I know he's always been there for me. I know he's there. I can smell him sometimes. It's like it's some kind of oil with a woody perfume. And I bet a lot of you out there have smelled that before and wondered, where did that come from? That's Jesus standing next to you.
And that's beautiful.
Okay.
And thank you so much for sharing that, my sister.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having this call-in. That's pretty awesome.
We're going to be doing this a lot more often. And I think it's a good thing. So it enables everybody to speak their truth and to share everything they want to share.
Yeah. That last caller, I didn't catch his name, but I really loved what he had to say. It was good.
Yeah, we've had some really, really good ones, and I think in time more people will see the wisdom that lies within some of these callers. And just knowing where I came from and where I am, and not saying that where I came from was bad and where I am is good, because everything in this world is mixed. This is a 3D world of duality, and we have to recognize it for what it is. So there's mixed energies here. However, we could be moving towards a constructive path, or we could be moving towards a destructive path. And we could either be moving together towards oneness and towards working in a unified manner, or we could be separated. And so we must recognize when we're being purposely manipulated into being separated. And it can be painful to recognize that, but it's a process we have to go through.
Well, I know we all grow in our own time. Some of us have the path that we're going through the Lord, and some of us are going through another path of enlightenment. But I think we can learn from each other. I've been with you. I don't know how many months now that I found you, and I listen to you every day that you're on, and I'm learning. Sometimes you think you've learned all that you're going to learn, or be experienced all that you're going to experience. Hearing someone else's side, it's enlightening. My whole life's always been, Jesus, and but now it's like I'm getting this bigger perspective of what's really going on, and my spirit's stretching, my mind is stretching, my heart is stretching. So I want to thank you for helping I've gotten onto your website and kind of checked it out a little bit. It's pretty cool.
Well, thank you, and thank you so much for being open to stretching, because sometimes it's painful and sometimes it's really pleasant as well. And I started praying to Jesus and Mary from as probably 3 or 4 years old, and I did it on my own. I mean, my parents showed me. I mean, I was brought up Catholic, and I would always say my prayers kneeling at the side of my bed. And then even when they didn't make me do it anymore, I still did it because I wanted to, and I wanted to feel connected. Yeah. And I was the one that dragged my mom to a Baptist church because a Baptist minister came by and knocked on the door, and I just loved him. And I was like maybe 11 years old, 11 or 12. And his passion caught me, and so I dragged her, to the church when she had stopped going away from going to the church anymore. And I've always gone to either a different church, or now I go to kirtan, which we start out and we might sing Hindu hymns, and then we'll break into Christian hymns, and then we'll just sing things like John Lennon's Imagine. And it's all about love ultimately. So, I still pray to Christ and I still pray to Mary, but I also at times will speak to Krishna and I'll speak to others, because I recognize that there are benevolent forces that have spoken to people of all persuasions on this planet and in other planets as well. So, we shouldn't get caught up with thinking that there's only one good source. Ultimately there's source, but there's many other beings that are out there that are benevolent. And so, we just have to recognize that just because we were brought up in one particular part of the world and brought up in a particular tradition doesn't mean that there's good people, there's not good people, say, over in the other part of the world being brought up in another tradition and actually praying to beings that are benevolent as well. Even though ultimately there is one source, one ultimate source of all, and the way to reach that source is just basically through love and compassion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I would, me personally, have a hard time praying to Mary. But that's just me. It's just something for me. It would my head to get wrapped around that. Again, it could be due to conditioning.
Yeah, and you know what? There's no right or wrong for anybody. So, I've talked about this with people, how the divine feminine has been totally wiped out of the Judeo-Christian tradition. But if you go far enough back, there was the Shekinah. And who is the Shekinah? The Shekinah becomes, in Catholicism, it becomes the Holy Spirit. And so the Shekinah is the divine feminine that ends up being manifested in Catholicism as the Holy Spirit. But in reality, it's the Shekinah. And Shekinah, Hebrew, that's the divine feminine aspect. So that's your feminine component to God the Father, which was driven under, by the Catholic Church. And so in this world, this is a world of duality. So you have the male and the female, you have the positive and the negative, the yin and the yang. But ultimately, Source is one. Source is unified. Source is beyond all the duality. So you could go ultimately at the highest levels, just go directly to Source, which is beyond any sort of label at all.
Before I go, I want to ask you, have you read the Colburn Bible?
Years ago I did. Yes, probably.
What do you think of it?
Gosh, I've read so many things. And most things I do find there's both inspired and then things that are, as we should say, kind of dogmatic, so there's always little nuggets of good in pretty much everything that you're going to delve into, whether it's the Bible, the Quran, whether it's the Nag Hammadi text, the Dead Sea Scrolls, whether you're going in and studying Shaivism, Vaishnavism, the works of Guru Nanak, the Baha'i faith. I mean, wherever you go, you'll find these nuggets that feel inspired, and then you'll feel other stuff that, doesn't feel so inspired, and maybe that's more of the ego coming through, and that's kind of, what I found with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read all of the lost Bibles, the lost books of the Bibles, and dug into the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I really love the lost texts, whatever I can get my hand on to read and study. And, it's some good prophecy in those. Really good prophecy. All right, well, it was good talking to you, Michael, and I'll get off the phone so someone else can call in.
Well,
I appreciate talking to you.
well, me too. Thank you so much for sharing and calling, and you did wonderful, and no reason to ever be nervous, and thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Namaste. So another very good call there as well. So lots of good thoughts, and it's all about recognizing what's conditioning and then getting to the heart of the matter. Because ultimately, it's really all boils down to love and compassion. And if we hold simply to love and compassion in our hearts and we act out of it, we're not going to go wrong. It's pretty damn simple. There's nothing else to argue about. Just simply act out of love and compassion, and we don't even have to worry about dogma. We don't have to argue about anything. Hello, my friend. Who do we have with us now?
Hey, Michael, this is Grumpy Joe. How you doing?
Hey, Grumpy. How you doing tonight?
Doing great. Anyway, I kind of felt compelled to call after that last caller and her description of her meeting with, Jesus Christ, or the Spirit that revealed itself as a brilliant. It sounded like she said it was a brilliant blue light, which is kind of what I gathered, but she didn't really name the color, but that's what I gathered. That kind of brought up a story that I had about my history that I wanted to discuss and see what you thought about it.
Sure.
And, this was back, I was probably about 18. This is, late 90s. And I was getting ready to leave my house, and I accidentally locked my keys in my trunk, and so we're running back and forth trying to get the trunk unlocked and, ripping the back seat out, trying to, figure out how to get to the keys, and we're standing there talking in the front yard, and all of a sudden we see our shadow in this brilliant blue light. We're thinking, oh, this has got to be the best firework on the planet. We turn around, and there's this brilliant blue ball of light, floating over my house. And, I guess you could describe it as a UFO or whatever, but I've always kind of considered it a spirit of some sort, honestly, because it had no defining edges. It wasn't your typical described silver, disc-shaped object. It was just this brilliant blue ball of light. And we sat there speechless. Every hair on our body was just standing on end. I was polarized. I couldn't talk. I couldn't think. All I could do was stare at this thing. And, it was me and my friend. We couldn't have any conversation. And just as soon as it had appeared, it didn't fly away. It literally switched dimensions. It just it was gone, And my parents were out of town at that time. I was pretty young. I was still living at home. And when they came back in town, I told them about that. And I said, hey, did you look in the newspaper? And I said, no. I said, yeah. The same day you said you saw that, there was hundreds of sightings of people that saw that thing flying across the sky. So here I am, the only person that I know of that reported seeing the thing up close, literally hovering over my house. And it was seen by hundreds of people. And, I've always kind of thought, I don't know what it was, but I don't think it was an extraterrestrial. I don't think it was an alien or a UFO or anything. I honestly think it was a spirit of some sort coming to visit me to try to communicate some something to me, you know, not necessarily in words, you know, but just basically, you know, and I think about this constantly over the years. And what was it? Was it a part of my greater soul coming to visit me? Was it an angel? You know, was it Jesus? You know, what was this thing that came and visited me and picked me out among so many people to actually stop and look at me? You know, what was this thing? I mean, do you have any experience or input on these brilliant blue balls of light and what they could possibly mean?
Yeah, I've seen many of them, and you know, it was interesting that most of the time when I saw them was when I was really, really going into a deep meditation, and then when I come out of the meditation, I would see them, you know, and not even like directly after. Sometimes like 3, 4, 5 hours later. And even days later, you know, I would see them just going above the trees, you know, going, you know, around, and their spirits, they are beings. I believe those are mostly, when you see a blue one like that, I think it's mostly an earthly spirit. Humans, for the most part, whether they're asleep or whether they're departed. I think when you see some other colors, like if you see a golden one like that, which I have seen in the past, I mean, I took that to be angelic, because I woke up once and I felt like I was being watched, and I woke up out of sleep and my ex-wife was right next to me, and I saw this golden orb, and it just was about the size of almost the size of a basketball. And it felt like it was almost like a eye inside the orb. It was like this circle, but then almost like an eye inside of it. And it had like plasma going between the outer and the inner layers of it. And I just felt like it was an angel. And so I just watched it, closed my eyes, opened up, it was still there. And then it went out and through the wall of the house, went straight through the wall of the house, through my daughter's bedroom, and disappeared. And then 2 nights later, I awoke to the most beautiful angelic singing. And I've had psychics and intuitives tell me that there's an archangel attached to me, and I believe it's that archangel that's been with me and helped me to, you know, work on different people when I was really just doing energy work and, you know, working on people in the clinic. I feel that was the being that was helping me. And one of my first clients I worked on, I felt my energy going into them, and then all of a sudden it was like somebody put their hands on my back, and the energy that went through me was so much more powerful than any energy I ever had, that I knew it was something way higher, and I feel that it was that being. And that lady saw that, basically she saw the sky opened up, and she saw her parents looking at her and communicated to her, and it scared her so much she told the owner at the clinic about it, and she was so freaked out she didn't want to come back to me because she was so scared at first, but then she did. And you know, we got her basically feeling better from the physical ailments that were bothering her. So I do feel like the blue ones, I feel like are human spirits for the most part. But the golden ones, I feel, tend to be angelic, but I do think that they are spiritual beings.
Wow, that's a pretty compelling story there. Another thing I'd like to add is, you know, I've consumed quite a bit of, you know, DMT or ayahuasca, as many people would like to say, and I know you're not particularly keen on that, but, you know, it's something I've done, and during one of these sessions, I saw basically everything break down to its elemental, you know, basically every human around me turned into a helix. And circling around helix was a blue ball of energy that was very similar to the one that I saw that is above my house. So that kind of reinforces what you were saying about the blue balls of energy being a human energy.
Exactly. You know, I'm not really against it. I just feel like it can be achieved through meditation. It will take, for most people, years, typically, but now with the way the energies are, it might not take years. It might even just be months, of meditation, and you could get to the same sort of area. But it's fine. I don't think it's detrimental to try DMT. It will show you the nature of things, and ultimately, as I was telling a different caller earlier, if you were to see what we look like, that's what we are. We are basically like suns. We are balls of energy. That's really what we are. We're nothing but balls of energy. The physical body is just what we animate. The reality is we are consciousness itself. We are nothing but energy.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about that I was hoping you might have some input on is, I have throughout my life had some sequences of numbers that have been reoccurring. And I know that a lot of people see this, and it's a common, topic amongst people as far as, has anybody else experienced kind of thing. But the number I keep seeing is 1, 2, 3, 4. And yeah, that sounds kind of hokey. I understand that. Once I get to the end of my story here, it'll reinforce this number 1, 2, 3, 4 that I see all the time. And I've been seeing it for well over a decade. Mile markers, clocks, receipt. Sometimes I'll go shopping in a day, and I'll go to 3 different places, and in those 3 different places I'll get a receipt that says, and 1, 2, 3, 4 is not always in sequence, but it'll be like, 2134 is your total, and then I'll check my account balance, and my account balance will be like 3421 or something, and then I'll go somewhere else and spend, $13.42, and it goes on, and it just kind of keeps reinforcing itself. And like one time there was kind of a particular instance where I pulled up to a parking meter in downtown St. Louis, and there's thousands of parking meters, and I had circled blocks and blocks, and finally found this parking spot and pulled in and looked over at the, all the meters are marked with the identification number in case they need, service or whatnot. And I parked at the parking meter, identified as parking meter 1, 2, 3, 4. And that was pretty weird. But to bring the story back to its end, where I'm living now, basically, I was working a job in St. Louis, a sales job. I had been trying to get into the whole prepper thing. I had started working with a group of preppers outside of St. Louis. A guy who lived in Oregon and moved down to Arizona, and then he actually kind of moved up to Missouri almost on a whim, pretty much purely to meet me, just from our conversation. We met up, and the first time we met, we gave each other a hug, and realized we both smoked the same cigarette, which was a filterless Camel. Like, I don't know anybody on the planet. I have never met in person anybody, never walked up to anybody that smokes the same cigarette I do, because it's just a weird cigarette. And that right there was just odd to me. So anyway, when we finally, we ended up neither of us really liked the current situation we were in as far as a prepper group. So he bought, we were looking for a piece of property to kind of get together and work together on. And we finally found a piece of property, and we put in a bid, bought it, and then we started checking out the property as far as what altitude is it at and that kind of thing. And we found out that it was at altitude 1, 2, 3, 4. So I feel like this number 1, 2, 3, 4 has kind of been guiding you. Now, as far as numerology goes, this number 1, 2, 3, 4, if you look up what is the meaning of this number, it'll say 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. Well, in numerology, 0 holds no value. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 1, essentially. And so what they consider this in numerology is the completion of a cycle, since it begins with 1 and ends with 1. So basically, I feel like this number has kind of been guiding me, and showing me that we're in the midst of a cycle completion. And as things about the grand solar minimum start to reveal themselves and all these things, about the tribulations that mankind is getting ready to go through, have revealed themselves to me. I'm starting, all these things and information are coming together to kind of reinforce this 1, 2, 3, 4 path that I've been on. So I don't know if you have any input on that. I know that numbers are kind of the language of the universe. Numbers create geometry. Geometry creates our physical reality. So I feel like numbers are almost like the universal language of the Creator. And if He's going to communicate to you, a lot of times it will be through numbers.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I always look at things numerologically that as well. I mean, it just breaks down that way. As I've shared with you guys in the past, I've gone through many different systems, and some of them will scare a lot of people, like such as, Hermeticism and the Western mystery tradition. And so if you look at the teachings of the Golden Dawn, you memorize correspondences, and one of them is breaking everything down numerologically, as well as looking at the planets, their influences, their positions, and I mean there's so much to it. And numerology is definitely one of the languages for it. It is the main language of this matrix we find ourselves in. It is the building blocks of this 3D reality for sure. Sacred geometry. And it's all numbers when you get down to it. So I agree with you totally, my friend.
Well, that was about what I wanted to discuss. I thought you may have some input on those things, and I agree with you though. Especially when you're talking about like some of the French ideas, and ideologies as far as Hermeticism and stuff like that. But I think we've kind of been conditioned to, sink all of our faith into Christianity when Christianity is great and it is, a good thing to have faith in, but it's not the only source of information out there. You got to look back beyond 2,000 years. You got to look back to what the Hindus believed, and what the ancient cultures believed, because those ideas are really what are being hidden from us.
Oh, I agree with you totally. Christianity is 2,000 years old, and that's nothing. I mean, that's just a speck in the time of humanity. And when you start going deeper, I mean, there's been intelligent beings on this planet for millions of years. So it's what we've gotten to is not it's not a good representation of what it was meant to be, because we have to recognize who runs the planet. Who runs the planet. If you ask most Christians who's in control of this planet, well, Satan's been in control of this planet. Okay, so why do you think that the dominant mental processes, the dominant philosophies on the planet wouldn't be those that are used by Satan, quote unquote, in order to condition and control? So when we look at it, and the three monotheistic religions, of which Judaism is only like not even 0.2%, but really Islam and Christianity make up 55% of the people that live on the planet. They're either Christians or they're Islamic. I think it breaks down to like around 33% Christian, 22% Islam. So why do we not have suspicions that some of it is perhaps a method of control? And because really we are definitely under control, and it's painful to recognize that we have been put under systems of control, and they use them intentionally to keep us divided. And keep us away from source ultimately, because you don't need to go through anybody to get to source. You just go to source yourself, and that's really the key. But there's no way to control people with that philosophy, so that is avoided at all costs.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. It's like here in the chat, she says, That's why I use my heart, you know. And really, I think all any of us need to do is go inside and seek the truth, because you know, I think it was you that told the story about the ancients. They were trying to hide the truth, and they said, should we hide it in the mountains? Should we hide it deep under the sea? Should we hide it here? Should we hide it there? And they kept saying, no, they'll find it. They'll find it. And they said, well, we'll hide it right within them. You know, and they'll never find it. And that's kind of where we are now. Is, you know, the truth is hidden within us, and it's up to each and every one of us to find that truth. And you know, as much as DMT is you know, looked down upon in some circles, and I do believe that DMT can reveal both good and bad. You know, you're opening a gateway, so in that gateway you can summon good things and you can summon bad things. And you know, I've done an immense amount of it, probably more, you know, than most shamans. And you know, one of my experiences on the DMT was I was taken back time through many civilizations, you know, and the entity called himself the creator. You know, I don't know if it was really the creator. It may have been. It may have been, you know, a bad entity, but as far as what it showed me, I can't say it was anything but good. And it basically took me back through time. It said, you know, I am the source of all information. I am the source of technology. I am the source of all that's good and bad. And I am the source of grace. And it basically showed me civilization after civilization after civilization throughout time, you know, that has risen and fallen, you know, through thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. And, you know, that was one of the things that one of the experiences I had on that really stuck with me.
Well, that is awesome. And, you know, I don't think it's a negative thing to do. I just think we could probably get there through meditation as well. But, you know, I think for most, you know, that might be the quicker, simpler way to have these type of realizations. So, you know, it's something that's a valid method of journey for many. So thank you for sharing, my friend, as always. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely, you too, man.
Take care, my friend. Namaste.
All right. You too.
Hello, caller. Who do we have with us now?
My name is Owen.
Good. And what do you want to talk about tonight, my friend?
Well, you've been talking about a lot of different things, and I really appreciate you. Much love to you. Source. Right now, I just feel like there's not. Hang on one second here. I have to put this on pause. I've got another one of your. Okay. When you talk about source, I just want to say that in the Bible, God is love is probably the best three words. His love is called prana. It's called ka, ki with ki gong. It's called so many different things, and it is source. And I totally agree with you. We don't need a interpreter for source. And I just want to say one other thing to you and to anybody out there. The body doesn't have a soul. The soul has a body. And no fear. I love you. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for sharing. That was beautiful, and I agree totally. And, you know, what you said right there, that hit me when I was 5 years old. And it hit me right after my brother died. And I remember everybody coming back from, you know, the funeral, and I was just standing there in my little suit and everything, and I just remember staring at the wall and then just being hit with this huge realization, and I don't know how I knew it at 5 years old, but somehow I knew I'm not the body. I'm in the body, I'm controlling the body, but I'm not the body. And it freaked me out, but somehow it just came to me, and I don't know if that was from past life knowledge or if that was something given to me by other forces like angelic forces, spirit guides, what have you, or my brother himself standing by my side and just basically telling me, he died, he moved on from his body at a very young age, but just letting me know we don't really ever die. We are more than this body. So thank you.
Absolutely. Who was it, Rumi, that said, I don't know if I can quote it exactly, we put so much substance in this life, and then we pass, and we realize, oh, no more grief. The end of grief. So this can be heaven and hell here on earth, for sure. I
agree totally.
Yeah, it's just how our perception, makes the difference. And I just, when you say it's just about love, if we can focus on that, have you ever done any, tried to organize any group meditation?
Yeah.
Online?
Yeah, tonight was starting out to be that way, but we got into all the calls and everything, so I wanted to definitely focus on Hawaii, but somehow we can do that more, and we will do that more. Actually, I'm thinking more about going live on a much more regular basis, and a lot of it I want us to focus our intent, because that's part of what I feel it was meant to be, initially, is focusing our intent, using our abilities to start to manifest positive outcomes.
Absolutely, and it doesn't matter which system. I believe that prayer is anything that you observe and consciously think about with love and compassion. That's prayer. So we don't have to go into a building or just being aware of the things going on and consciously feeling compassion. That's prayer in itself.
Beautiful. Exactly.
Right on.
That's where it all comes from. So when we say things like, if you really want to know what salvation is, it's just simply operating out of love and compassion. It's not about dogma. It's not about saying certain words and dunking your head or whatever it is. It's all about, where is your heart? Where is your heart? What are you actually doing? Are you creating division, or are you trying to unify?
Well, the dunking and creating words, ritual, seems to be, your own ritual is as valid as any ritual from anybody that says they are a mediator to God.
Exactly. So if we do a ritual, right? If we do a ritual and say we go back to the same old habits, say you beat your wife, you kick your dog, you don't do all the things you should do that are good, and you have all these bad ways, and you go and do a ritual and go back to your old bad ways, quote unquote, that's no good. Now, if the ritual actually changes you so that it sticks in your mind, and when you go to pull your foot back to kick your dog because you're having a bad day, and you stop and you look at its eyes and you realize, damn, he loves me unconditionally. Why the hell would I ever hurt him in the first place? And when you look at your wife and you see that she just wants to give you a hug, she knows you had a bad day and she just loves you unconditionally, that ritual that causes you to pause, recognize that, I need to make changes. Yes, I can see this now. Now that's a successful ritual. It all depends on if it actually does bring about change. And so much of it has to come. It really has to come from within a heart that is truly changed, and that's where the saying, "You must be truly born again." You must give up, those negative tendencies, those negative ways, and truly be born again like a child, to view the world in a different way and to operate out of simply love and compassion for all beings.
Yes, absolutely. If the body is the temple, we have to try to pump that up. And people talk about the 144,000. Well, it's a frequency, and I believe it's a frequency of love. And going into sonic, sacred geometry, whatever you want to call it, I just threw that out there because it's been in memes lately. But I think we're on the right path. I think that if we don't have fear, if we don't buy into the fear, that's really hard. It's difficult, with everything going on today. I watch some of your videos, and I'm just, your heart's in the right place, thinking with your heart.
Well, thank you, my friend, my brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's difficult. A lot of people are ostrich and would rather have their head in the sand, probably like 1999. But I think this is a real time for getting a mental, spiritual house in order. I'm not afraid of getting wherever I am. I'm not afraid of being in a particular place at a time for safety or anything like that. I just figure wherever I am, I'm supposed to be there. I don't know yet, and I'm here in Trinidad, Colorado, and it's southern Colorado near New Mexico, between Dulce and Cheyenne Mountain.
Well, most people would say that's a pretty good spot.
Well, it's if the tunnels are as strong underneath us as I suspect, we won't get too much earthquake.
Yes. For sure, there's definitely a lot going on under the ground there.
Oh, yes. I've seen some crazy things. I've taken a few pictures. I felt like I should send you some stuff soon, but I'm in the process of figuring out where I'm supposed to be on this grid in the next couple weeks. So I'm mobile, so to speak.
That's good. Yeah, many of us are feeling tugged and pulled in different directions, and it feels like it's almost like one of those games where everybody gets up and then runs around the chairs, and it's like, okay, they take 2 chairs out of the way, and you got to sit down really quick, and you're wondering where you're going to end up.
But maybe your light is supposed to be exactly where it is.
True.
Who knows? This is the conundrum I'm having. Anyway,
true.
I should let you go. I hope we have a talk again. If you've got my number there, feel free to call anytime.
Thank you, brother. I truly appreciate it. Bless you, and namaste.
Yeah, I know that you help a lot of people out. You talk to a lot of people, and it helps me. But you ever feel like you need to talk? I'm always there.
Oh, I totally appreciate it. Thank you, my brother.
Okay, much love to you and yours.
To you as
Good night.
well. Namaste. So that was a great call as well. Really good calls this night coming in. Excellent calls. Thank you guys so much for this. And just to touch on it again, let's look and think one more time about Hawaii. Let's strongly focus our attentions on it. Let's push that storm out of the way. Send it off to the left of where you're looking, to the west, so it doesn't touch the islands. Let's wake up tomorrow morning and let's see that it is on a track that's going to take it so that it's not going to do any damage to the islands or anybody, any being on the islands. Let that be our purpose, our focus, and our guide, and we will manifest it. So we shall see this going off to the left, to the west. No damage. Hawaii has had enough damage. We don't need any more damage to Hawaii. And you know what? We can change all these things that we see right now. We can change them all. We can affect this. Let's realize our power here, man. We have a lot of power. So Mary Kingsley's out there and she's wanting 1 minute of silence. So let's do that. Let's give it 1 minute of silence and focused intention, my friends. Starting now. All right, my friends, thank you for doing that. Thank you for saying that intent on through. And I want to thank you guys for joining me once again for this live feed. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. I want to hear your voices. I want to hear what you guys are thinking. I thank you guys so much. You know, so many of you out there that are just always positive. So, I want to thank Stack Stevenson. Thank you, Stack, because you are always positive out there. My brother, you are always positive. Thank you, Mary Kingsley, for, as always, being out there and trying to lift us up to the highest. Thank you, Sassy Susie. Love you a ton, and you are awesome. And you are a credit to this family. Thank you, Ralph Meja. Ralph, you are awesome. You are a beautiful soul, and you are always positive out there as well. Thank you, Grumpy. Grumpy, everybody loves you over here, and we all appreciate you, and thank you for sharing so much with us, as always. You know, you are always both interesting, and we love your stories. We love who you are. There are so many people out there, and some that have popped in and popped off, like Branky Ma, McKid, my dear sister. So many of you guys, that are just always keeping things afloat and keeping it positive and trying to maintain the positivity. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. And so, sometimes we have misunderstandings of where we're coming from. And again, we're typing. A lot of times we're typing here. So, sometimes we don't really get across that which we want to talk about, and that which we truly mean. And as Mick333 says, hey bro, we are co-creators. Yes, we are. And I spoke with you guys about that yesterday when I was in Bible study and talking to my pastor Randy, who's now in Texas. And I asked him, I said, so what do you think? What is our purpose? What are we supposed to be? What's the ultimate big thing? He said, shoot, I guess actually we're supposed to be co-creators with Christ and in Christ. We're supposed to be co-creators in a Christly manner. And it hit me, and I thought, yeah, I could buy that. I could buy that. That's pretty damn cool, and what is Christ? Christ is love. And it's not just Christ. When I first read the Bhagavad Gita and I heard Krishna speaking, I thought, oh my God, that sounds like Christ. And it just hit me. And then as I looked deeper and deeper and deeper and started to explore all the different philosophies and all the religions, I realized that, what? Source has spoken to us all in our own languages. We have all been spoken to by Source. the problem is that the dogmas come from the ego of humans. Dogma comes from ego. Source speaks to our heart. Source speaks beyond ego. Source has no dogma. Just love. Just acceptance. Just all the highest vibrations and emotions. It's all about love, my friends. It is. It's all about treating each other right. If we treat each other right, if we take care of each other, if we lift each other up instead of point fingers at each other and condemn each other, then we're on the right track. When we're lifting each other out, when you're extending a hand to another to help them, instead of pointing a finger at them and telling them something that you think they're doing wrong, extend your hand, lift somebody up, instead of pointing things out. Write lyrics to songs, Stack. I've tried to do that. I've actually written some poetry that actually got accepted by Blue Mountain, if you've ever seen Blue Mountain. But yeah, I mean, it's all about, like Lennon said with Imagine. It's all about love. It's all about peace. We can do this. And we are going to do this. We are. We have no choice. This is what we're going to do. And we have AP out there today who's trying to be the center. So it's not about bowing and kneeling. Think about that. Bowing and kneeling is a slave mentality. Who would want you to bow? Who would want you to kneel? Should we let our egos get the control of us? No, of course not. But think about it. Who wants you to bow? Who wants you to kneel? Who wants you to not think for yourself? Who wants you to accept the conditioning they give you? It's pretty obvious. Anybody that can really think for themselves can see through the illusion. Those that want to keep you in bondage, those that want to keep you in slavery and servitude, those that want to keep you in the matrix that they have given you. And so, by taking that mentality, you're falling into their paradigm, their matrix. I see the fifth world is out there. Give me a call, sister. I'd love to talk to you. And I want to plug your channel, and I want to plug a couple of other people's channels that are out there that I feel are wonderful people. And yes, while we're doing this, let's focus on the fires going out in Washington and Canada, and also through California as well. So let's see those wildfires dissipating as well. I want to see, as we do these lives, and we're going to do these lives a lot more, because we need to manifest our power. We really need to manifest our power now. It's time for us to take control. It's totally time for us to grab the horse by the reins and steer this ship. So we need to take control. And so we'll be doing a lot more live feeds, and we'll work on manifesting positivity. So let's do that. Let's see the firefighters go, the wildfires go out. Let's see peace start to settle in on the land. And think about things, my friends. There's so much more to think about. There's so much more to think about, man. Think about this. What have they given us? Why did they give us such a patriarchal system that puts down the feminine, that doesn't acknowledge the mother, but exalts the father? Think about that. Why do they do that? What are we seeing? What are we seeing with these earth changes? Are we not seeing the mother in distress? Are we not seeing the mother in pain? Is the mother not going through the birth pangs? Is she not suffering? There's a reason why they don't want you paying any attention to the mother. They don't want you to feel any sort of unity with the mother, with the divine feminine. Because you're living on the divine feminine. You're living on the mother. And they attack her at every turn. They burn her. They blow off nuclear weapons 1 mile under the surface in Alaska. We've been purposefully led to neglect the mother, so that the mother will treat us as a virus, and so that the mother will shed us and bring us these earth changes. So just be aware of all the conditioning and all the things that are in play here. They so control every aspect of the game. And so they're trying to condition us to manifest our own destruction. By grace alone, says Mary, was not a god. And we're not even talking about God with the big G. As Stack says, like fleas on a dog. It's not about, anything being source, because of course the earth is not source. The earth is the source of our physical body in some ways, but not the source of our spirit. But she is our mother, the mother of our physical body. And so if we connect to her, like I know through energy work, working with the earth energy is the quickest way to heal the physical body. Don't be afraid of the mother. And it's not like we have to worship anything. Because you have a relationship with a teacher, a parent, a friend, does that mean that you're worshiping them? No, you're not worshiping them. You're simply having a relationship with them. Don't fear having relationships with things, with beings. Just because you acknowledge something, if you acknowledge a teacher, if you acknowledge, a politician, a president, if you acknowledge a pastor, if you acknowledge a priest, if you acknowledge anything, you're just simply acknowledging a being. So acknowledging the earth doesn't mean that you're worshiping the earth. You're just simply acknowledging the earth. And you've been conditioned to fear acknowledging things and beings. Everything we see is a living being. The earth is a living being, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, they're all living beings on different planes of existence. Every single star in the sky is a living being in a different dimension, a different reality. So why should you be afraid of talking to any single being, acknowledging any single being? Doesn't mean that you're worshiping them. You're just simply acknowledging them. And being that we're actually living in these physical bodies on this physical planet, might it be a good idea to actually acknowledge the being behind the planet? As Mary says, one great Gnostic was burnt alive for saying, "Do you not realize these trees and valleys are the Virgin Mary?" And that is so true. So, yeah, they toasted, they burnt the Gnostics, they burnt their teachings, because they had a lot of the truth, and the truth cannot be known. At least that's what the powers that be want. So if you're saying something that is truly a mainstream belief that's limiting, then you're just simply advancing their paradigm. Source is unlimited. So many are waking up now. So the limited paradigms are being dissolved. Those paradigms of nothing but fear and control, they're a thing of the past. They are dying. And the people that try to push those paradigms, that's this past age, this past era. That's not the future. So that's going to be something that is dissolved and something that no longer is. Because we're going to move into a period of unity consciousness and understanding the bigger picture. Exactly. What we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. The Piscean age is ending. Every age serves its purpose. And we always move forward. And it's really so paradoxical that the ages move retrograde, or diacal and Widdershans, as in some traditions. Yeah, it is very interesting. So there's no need for grace. There's no need, because there is no original sin. All those doctrines are the doctrines of demons and devils in reality. And those that fear demons and devils are actually serving their purpose. And that's what they don't understand. But they're actually promoting the beliefs of those that they fear. It's really amazing when you look at it. But once you step up and out, you can see the picture for what it is. And as our sister Mary has said before, it's important to realize that, we go on beyond past the body. The body will go back to the earth from which it came. But we are ultimately something much more. And we are not going to suffer in eternal torment. I have absolutely zero fear of any sort of eternal torment, because I know that's a lie. That's a complete lie. It is completely fabricated and completely made up to keep people in fear. Totally made to keep you in fear so that you won't know the truth, so that you will be nothing but a good sheeple. A good sheeple, obeying your masters. And you know who your masters are? They are those that you fear. And that is the truth. So my friends, as always, please do thumbs up, support the family, support the channel, help us get the word out there. There is no eternal torment. Don't fear anything. No fear. Fear is the opposite of love, my friends. And there's no need for it at all. So thank you, my dear friends, my dear family. I love you guys so much. May you all be blessed with abundant peace, love, wellness, and all good things. And let us always pick each other up all the time, in every single way. Namaste, my friends, and God bless.